What is good, everyone? Welcome back to the Clubhouse. It's that time of year again. It's playoff time.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
I'm not kidding you, Jim. I know it's a little early, like NFL-wise, but fantasy football-wise, this is round one of the playoffs, at least in most leagues. So we're here to help you guys out. Hopefully you guys did make the playoffs. If you guys did, please let us know in the chat. We'd love to congratulate you. Let us know what your guys' record is. And if you need any help, any start-sit questions going into week one, you don't want to be one and done. I know I don't want to be one and done. I was happy enough to make the playoffs in all four of the leagues that I was in. That's a rarity. Usually that doesn't happen. Typically, there's at least one league where the season kind of goes to shit for you. But for the most part, I was able to stay active in the waiver wire. Most of my players stayed relatively healthy. That is the thing there, is your guys staying healthy and kind of ride out those bad weeks and whatnot. So, but like I said, hopefully you guys did the same thing. Hopefully you guys were checking out the show. Listen to our advice and stuff. We had quite a few guests come on this season to drop their knowledge and take as well, give you some good fantasy insight here. That's what we like to do over here at the Clubhouse. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of other places you can go to check out Fantasy Talk, and we appreciate everybody that comes here to check us out, chops it up with us here at the Clubhouse. This is kind of barber shop talk there. We bounce ideas back and forth off of each other. Some ideas are good, some ideas are bad, but that's what we're here for. We're here to talk it out. Lee, thank you for checking us out. Good to see you here. Good luck to you in the playoffs. Hopefully you made the playoffs in most of your leagues. If not, let you didn't and which ones you did. So, but before I get too much further into it, and before I get into looking at the injury report there, we got to do, first things first, kind of keep things in order. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to that intro.
Chicago Clubhouse Network. Crash out, this a crash course, no lecture. Lay hack, keep a signal caller under pressure. Check the stats, finna up the score for the record. Chicago Clubhouse Network. Crash out, this a crash course, no lecture. Lay hack, keep a signal caller under pressure. Check the stats, finna up the score for the record. Introducing first, he the crooked commish, making sure it's understood that he him. Next up, he the mouth from the bay, dynamic dick game, they make you bow face. And salute the truth, curve all the blinds, they blind the whoop-de-whoop. On the path to the bag, got that money and the power. They gon' ball every fantasy football hour. Got them sour, these hacks can't hack it. Meanwhile, they on point like a cactus. Want smoke and get smoked like some cat piss. If you can't be good, damn it, be good at it. Ay, Chicago Clubhouse Network. Crash out, this a crash course, no lecture. I'm the caller under pressure. Check the stats, finna up the score for the record. Chicago Clubhouse Network. Crash out, this a crash course, no lecture. Lay hack, keep a signal caller under pressure. Check the stats, finna up the score for the record.
Welcome back, everyone. Good to have you back. It's good to be back, and it's good to be in the playoffs. Hopefully, that's where you guys find yourselves as well. So, but before we get too much further into it, we got to do what we have been doing here at the beginning of the year. Take a look at the commissioner's report, aka the body bags here. See who didn't make it, almost made it, but didn't quite make it to the end of the season. Some key injuries that happened this week. Indiana Jones suffered a season-ending injury, the Achilles injury, which is a bummer. He was in line to give himself a pretty good payday, but with this injury, I'm sure that's kind of going to damper some things. It's not going to be quite as rich as he was it was looking like it was going to be at the beginning of the season or midway through the season where he was just balling out. So uh, be interesting to see how that affects the rest of the players like Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman to see how much that kind of affects. I know you got good old Phillip Rivers that came out of retirement, 5 years fresh off of retirement, but I don't know how much confidence how much faith you can put in that guy. Like I said, being fresh off the couch. So, but we shall see. Next on the hit list there was T. Higgins. He suffered another concussion. He may miss a week depending on what's going on here. He's going to, if he misses practices, hopefully if he can at least get into the Friday practice, there's a chance that he could play. But more than likely, expect for him to miss at least this week 15. Next is CD Lamb. He is also suffering from a concussion. He again, like T. Higgins, will be out for at least 1 week. Should be back week 16. Oh, excuse me. Next on the injury list here, we have Devontae Achane. He suffered a rib injury. It looks like it's just dealing with pain. So good chance that he'll be able to go during game time, but he may miss at least this week if they want to rest him. Jalen Wright would be the guy to go ahead and get if he happens to miss this week. Jaden Daniels suffered an elbow injury trying to make a tackle off of an interception. So that's brutal. He just came off the injury list. Looks like he's going right back onto it. More than likely will be done for the season, even if it's not that severe. We are coming towards the end of the season. If he's out for 2 or 3 weeks, is it really worth him coming back for 1 more week there? So next is Zach Ertz. He has a knee injury, likely season ending as well. Geno Smith suffered an shoulder injury and is expected to be back week 17. So depending on what the QB situation is looking like there, who knows if he even comes back at all. Darnell Washington is suffering from a concussion as well in Pittsburgh. Tight end, week 16 is his expected return date. And then Tyrod Taylor has a groin injury. He will be out until week 17. So if you have any of those guys, hopefully those aren't guys that you were depending on. But if you did, be ready to go ahead and get those replacements there, especially if you're into the playoffs, because now is the time where you need to go on a 3-game, maybe 2-game winning streak if you one of those lucky teams that has a bye, like my co-host here, the Mouth from the Bay. He's the loudest mouth in fantasy football. You'll hear him any room he walks into. You'll know that he's here. That's why we have to call him the Mouth from the Bay. You will hear him from bay to bay, no matter where you're at. So let's go ahead and get him back into the clubhouse and welcome him to the playoffs.
Yes, we go. Yeah, Mr. Clubhouse in the catbird seat, 10-week freaking winning streak. You know what I'm saying? That's how we do. Started at the league off 0-4, and I couldn't have had that shit because we got a podcast, and that's not how we roll. So right now, I am the #1 seed in the podcast. In that clubhouse, I'm also riding another nice little 7-game win streak, and the league that we cannot talk about.
No, we cannot talk about.
We cannot talk about that league, but I've been kicking ass and taking names in that one, and I'm a #2 seed in another one. So and then I still got 1 more week, and the keeper league, the other one. Oh my God, the one kick everybody out. So. We're doing good right now. Like I'm in 5th spot in that one, but time to move up. So I took the #1 guy down twice. He won his 0-2 barbecue against me, scored the most points in the league, and until it was time to play me, and then I whooped his ass. So that's nothing but goodness there. Nothing but goodness there, and he's a Cowboy fan, so it makes it that much fucking better. So. Yeah, absolutely. Little cherry on top of that little cupcake, whatever that he fucking is. That's what I'm saying. Like I told him, don't make me shoot 3 times this year, boy. Next time you won't be coming back till next year. So that's how we do. That's how we run around here. That's how we do it.
That
But
truly is a chef's kiss when you can beat a Cowboys fan there, especially 2 times there. So it's a nice little feather in your cap there. So congratulations on that. So like I said, you had the number 1 seed in 2 leagues there. So tip your cap there. Looks like you're getting a bye week on some of those. So it's nice to not have to worry about an early first round bounce by some janky ass jinky shit.
no, yeah, you never know. You never know. Like, well, I've definitely been in leagues where, well, we have that one league where you get to actually choose. Your first round opponent if you're number one, you're the number 1 seed, and I've seen
I
that
like
backfire. I've seen that backfire, and then the number 7 guy come through and actually win a championship. AKA Chaka, AKA Charlie Brown. Got a little shout out for him because you know what? It don't matter how you get to the final game and win. It's just matter that you get there. So he definitely did his thing, and I shout out to him for being that guy, that crazy guy to take Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes like the first two picks. But sometimes shit works out crazy. I mean, you got to go out or unorthodox little strategy when you draft. And at the same time, you got to get crazy when it comes to like free agency and those waiver buys and
I agree,
trades,
bro. Because there's plenty of times where we've been in drafts and we're kind of we look at someone's draft board and we kind of wonder what the hell they were thinking or how many gummies did they actually take before the draft, and stuff. But the season plays out, and more often than not, those guys end up being having competitive teams. They're not the bottom feeders there at all.
No. Like I mean, to be honest, like 2 of the leagues that I'm in, the defenses are super high scoring defenses, and there was crying about like, well, should we not have that type of defense scoring so high? And your number 1 running back doesn't score. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, if my defense scores 2 defensive touchdowns and throws up a 0, like I should get like 40 points from my defense, because the same person that want to cry about it are the same people that benefited when their defense blows the fuck up, and all of a sudden they have a 200-point scoring week or a 300-point scoring week for that week. So I don't want to hear your shit when it's good for you, when it's not okay when it goes against you. So I mean, to me, you got to draft accordingly. You got to draft accordingly. Like, I mean, sometimes is it better to have the 3rd or 4th or 5th wide receiver on your lineup, or to get a number 1 defense that's a scoring defense that's sometimes you got to switch it up because no one's seen the Texas defense being the Texan defense that was this year, and a lot of people probably drafted Baltimore's defense a little higher, thinking there would be a lot better of a defense, especially the way it ended last year. So, end of the day, you got to make sure you play matchups, and when you drop your number 1 defense in the middle of the year, you start playing matchups. You start playing, and who's playing Tennessee? Who's playing New Orleans? You know what I mean?
Right.
And you got to start playing matchups, and hopefully your team blows up and you get 40 points, and you're in a situation like I am right now. You make a nice little run because you decided to play matchups, and you go in there, you do your fucking homework, you listen to Commish, you listen to the Mouth, and and you figure your shit out. So,
all right, there you go. Those are very wise words and wise advice there. So take it from like us. Like I said, we both seem to do well for ourselves here and stuff. So trust me, in one of the leagues that we're in, one of the leagues I'm in is like a 32-man league, so it's 32 individual owners. So that's hectic and crazy as hell. I ended up getting the number 31 pick out of 32 in that league, and ended up getting the 2. So I got a bye there. The week playoffs started last week, so this week is technically second round and whatnot. But it's it wasn't for the faint of hearts. Like I'm telling you that much right now. It was quite challenging and whatnot. You have to be very, very active on that waiver wire, and to be honest, be a bit lucky that at least most of the squad that you drafted stays healthy, and not only that, actually somewhat productive as well.
I mean, that's one of those things. It's kind of like right now, like we're looking at 2 different squads where everybody was happy to see Jaden Daniels come back for Washington because Scary Terry came back, those Debo holders, and Zach Ertz, like you said in your thing, is definitely a big crush to a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people had Zach Ertz out there right now, but Jalen Daniels being put back on the shelf, it definitely hurts your upside, because you've seen what Scary Terry did last year when he had a healthy Jaden Daniels, and even this year now with Daniel Jones going down, that offense was cooking. You got Pittman out there. You got freaking Alec Pierce on the outside. Ty Warren does a lot of gadget stuff, and then what's the repercussions to Jonathan Taylor now? That guy has been an absolute monster all year, especially touchdown vulture. For his last maybe 2 months, when we didn't know that Daniel Jones was dealing with the fibula fracture, and now unfortunately he's dealing with that Achilles injury that takes him out for the rest of the year. But good old Phillip Rivers coming back in, maybe just maybe he throws a little bit of spice in the sauce right there for fantasy. I don't know so much about actual real football when it comes to them winning some games, but when it comes to fantasy, I don't give a shit about how the Indianapolis Colts do. I don't care if they win, lose, or draw. I just want to make sure that Ty Warren, Alec Pierce, and if I'm not playing Jonathan Taylor, I hope they all do good too, because that's exactly what we need. We need those guys to have, high productivity from the QB, because that's what drives our fantasy leagues. That when the QB's out there doing good things, we get those 30 to 40 point scores that we all love. Nobody wants to see in the snow 6 to 9, because that means if you don't have that kicker, pretty much you're going to get your ass whipped that week. So
Right. Ron, thank you for the comment here. Packers Live just cursed me out and gave me the finger. You must have been dropping a lot of bear downs in there. So good for you. You're fighting the good fight. You could tell them I've been kicked out of better chats, more important chats than this.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this next, it is difficult to go from 1 to 7, in real life, but at the same time, you got him in 2 weeks, and you can make that shit back up. So, I just hope that for me that Chris Watson still gets a couple touchdowns, because that's what I need him to do. Whether here nor there, what I mean. I still need. I get it's a Bears, broadcast, but I still need. I picked Christian Watson up on a waiver wire when he came back, and he's got me into that second place. Run. I had a chance for that first place. I had a chance for that three first places before the playoffs. It would have been sometimes you picked the wrong defense.
I hear you.
And that's what I did. I picked the wrong defense. I picked the Rams defense against Carolina. And I thought they were going to run, and Carolina whooped their ass on that day. And then the person that I was playing with, good old Heather, she had my Niners defense, and they pretty much skull fucked
your team against you.
She pretty much skull fucked. That defense pretty much skull fucked Cleveland, and she dropped 42. I scored 12 points, and I lost by 10 points. So that's one of those things. I mean, I'm sorry, but the secret weapon for me will always be a really good kicker and an absolute defense that's going to mop. That's just
fair enough.
I don't care what kind of QB you have, because Lamar Jackson has showed that he's human this year.
Right.
Unless they're not playing in the snow, for whatever reason, any team that you're playing out there, Joe Burrows and that Bills and Buffalo game was an admiration, because normally you're not having 40 to 40 in the snow. So that's one of those things you don't see too many of those games like that when we got weather, inclement weather. You're pretty much your game usually gets screwed.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you're right. Defense does win championships, they say, and whatnot. So if that's your formula to winning, and getting to the playoffs and kind of doing well in fantasy, I mean, if it hasn't not worked for you, and it's giving results, then by all means, keep on doing it. Especially regarding that particular league, you got to look at your league settings and whatnot, and kind of adjust accordingly and whatnot. If you're getting points for kick return yardage, then start looking for the guy like from Tennessee.
Amir
Shamar Dyke. That guy has been a godsend for me. And
my guy Sky Moore. my guy Sky Moore right now has been an absolute sleeper in most leagues because he doesn't really get on the field as a wide receiver, but he's someone. If you need a flyer for that week, he's already taken the last 3 weeks a punt, a kickoff return. He hasn't scored a touchdown, but he's definitely took it up with those return yards. So I mean, even if you're getting those 10 or 15 from, we got 3 people in the one that we don't talk about, but there's definitely people that take a flyer on, do whatever. And like we said before, like last week, you want to have someone who actually does get into the offense and does, operate someone in special teams, because then that gives you those extra points. And then a lot of leagues this year that I've seen now are going towards those decimal points. You know what I mean? And I've seen so many people lose by those 0.2, 0.1, 0.5, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So if you got that guy who had 2 catches for 30 yards, but then maybe he dropped you a tutty with, 80 yards of return yards. Now he turns to 20, 25, and now you just destroyed that dude. So it's those things, man. Like, you gotta look at that listing, and you got to do your homework too. But you got to go around the free agent, see who's hurt, because football is a game of attrition. So people come in and out all the time. So that next man up mentality is the best thing that you can have, especially in fantasy football. Like that Adonai Mitchell was buried, in
John Michie. John
Michie and Adonai Mitchell, like both the Colts and Texans, were buried, weren't getting much run. They go to different teams and absolutely, just blow up for those week or two. And you gotta understand, those guys might not have the longevity to stick with for 3 or 4 or 5, 6 weeks, but man, for those 1 or 2 weeks, if you catch that lightning in the bottle, that's all that matters.
True. So let's get into this here. I was kind of talking about this last week with Mike Tipton from the Tipping Point. He kind of filled in for you, filled in your seat there, and we're talking about some of the duds, some of maybe the disappointments. But so we could kind of talk about that and get to that regarding these guys' average draft position and whether or not they were ended up being a good start, or if not. What's up, Drew? Thank you for checking us out, coming back. That's I believe, a Packer fan that we had on the Sunday pregame show. So appreciate it. Yeah, so he was definitely enjoying the way that one ended. So I'm sorry, I can't be a Packer fan with the bear down symbol there and the colors there. That was JB. That was my bad. So bear down, Drew. Let's take a look though here at some of the average draft positions here of the quarterbacks. See how they kind of lived up now that the season's pretty much over with. If they kind of lived up to expectations here. Right now I got at the bottom there listed the QBs, top QBs here. Josh Allen was the top QB taken in most drafts around pick 18. So Josh Allen had I think a pretty good season, kind of lived up to his expectations of what you were hoping to get out of him. So had still a decent amount of rushing yards, some rushing touchdowns. And
he's a touchdown fucking vulture. He's James Cook's worth. Like, defenses, like James Cook's not scared of defenses. James Cook's is scared of Josh Allen around the goal line. Like, literally, that's the only person that can stop James Cooks right now is Josh Allen around the goal line. Like, if you have James Cooks in your fantasy, he is absolutely blunt because I have him in mine. And the only reason he don't go from 18 points to 30 something is because Josh Allen calls his fucking name. He calls his number way too often. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things. The same thing like a Saquon last year and this year, especially probably more this year than when you really need Saquon to be touchdown dependent. And, Hurts goes push and takes away a touchdown. So, don't get me wrong. Josh Allen is an absolute stud, but those James Cook's owners cannot stand him when it's first and goal.
No, I mean, and that's part of the reason in one league where I took Cooks and Josh Allen. So it's like I'm just basically taking the Buffalo backfield. No matter who rushes the ball, more than likely it's going to be, I'm going to reap the benefit of that. Unless some, Ray Davis comes in out of nowhere and gets that touchdown and stuff. But that's a rarity and whatnot. But the next guy, QB that was taken more often was Lamar Jackson. This is a guy that you could say probably did not live up to expectations compared to where most guys drafted him. Was pretty disappointed. When he did play, he started the season off pretty good, normal, out playing, getting in the 30s and stuff. But then the injury didn't help, and then even now after the injury, his
he's
last few games
been a shell of himself. I mean, there's no way to tell me that Lamar is not hurt. Like I drafted Lamar
right
in our fantasy fantasy league
yeah, obviously.
or what you call it?
Which
Yeah,
the hardcore, the keeper league,
not the hardcore, like the
keeper,
the one we don't talk about, the Kumite league.
Kumite. Okay.
It was like,
Yeah.
but the dynasty league. I said fantasy, I meant dynasty. But the dynasty league, like he was first 5 weeks was giving about 40 to 50 points a week, and then after he was hurt for those 3 or 4 weeks, they've already said it. It's come down from his knee to his ankle to his toe, and they took away his superpower. You know what I mean? Like the guy can go out there and juke anybody, and when we have it in our intro, the guy go out there and drop in like a 70, 80-yard run, spinning or do a spin around into the end zone. You haven't seen that this year. Not very much, especially since he's come back from that injury. So he's definitely, for what I could say, for me especially, he's been definitely disappointing since he's come back from injury. I can't say for the whole season, but the last 10 weeks has not been the Lamar Jackson, especially during the regular season, where he's just dominant. He's just dominant during the regular season. I can't say much for the postseason, but when it comes to fantasy, he's definitely been winning. He's won some championships for many people.
How much do you think this Jade's got, kind of puts a bad taste in guys' mouth, pause, going into next year? Kind of, do you think his draft position kind of drops maybe a round or two? Or do you think they just look at that as like, hey, last year was just a fluke kind of thing? He's still relatively young. He's in the prime of his career.
His running style kind of like his running style, like you say, you never want to see running quarterbacks. The only thing with him is like you don't see him do like Jackson Dart type of shit, like in his in his early years where he was just trying to run over a linebacker or a safety. You know what I mean? Like he's always been so fast that no one ever actually really got a good lick on him. Mm-hmm. It's just those lower leg injuries for him kind of take away those superpowers. So for me, I still think he's going to get drafted. He's still a 1, 2, or 3. QB that's coming off that board next year. Yeah, he's definitely QB1, and Josh Allen's probably getting taken 1 or 2. Depending on how Drake May finishes, Drake May is the one that's going to be surprised in that top 5. That for me, he's someone that really hasn't had those huge number games at 350, 400. He still hasn't even had to throw for 300 yards in his rookie year yet, or this campaign, I should say. But he's still someone that, get you that dual threat, QB stats that we love. He'll run for a touchdown and throw for 2, but he'll only give you 250 yards. So until Drake May gets those, 350, 400 yards, those big ass games where he gives you that 40, 50 points, I still think Lamar Jackson is he's just super dangerous. You got to chalk it up to, injuries catch up to, every quarterback, especially when you get, hurt early in NFL, you never really get to get healthy again. You know what I mean? You stay hurt the rest of the year.
Yeah. And that's fair. That's definitely true. This is a violent game. As soon as you start to feel somewhat normal, it's time to play the next game already, and it's like another car crash that you're getting into.
Especially with that Thursdays and those Saturday games coming up, and we got Friday, freaking what was that? Black Friday games. You know what I mean? We got games all week different now. Like so, it's not Sunday to Sunday no more. These guys got to get up real quick, right away.
True. Okay, hold on. So we got a question coming in. I want to get to the question that's coming in real quick here. So what's up, guys? Drew, thanks for the question. Who would you guys rather have week 16 and 17 of playoffs? Have a bye week, Saints defense or the Lions defense? So I got the Saints defense pulled up right now here.
Well, right now the Lions defense this week is playing the Rams, so that's going. I mean, in whether it's in the dome or it's on on the West Coast, I mean that's going to be a track meet. So I don't like that defense at all for Detroit.
So, well, like you said, he's got a bye week, so we don't have to worry about week 15 so much. He's more looking at week 16 and 17.
Oh,
so let's so looking at the Saints there, which is Carolina, that may have been a decent matchup, but the Jets, I like that matchup. You're at home against the Jets. Tyrod Taylor is out, so you may be getting Justin Fields, and I mean, what is Fields going to really throw against you? I mean, 100 yards. I mean, and that's like,
he's been
you're
horrible.
really worried about? You're not really worried about Fields. And then you got Tennessee at Tennessee. They're one of the worst teams, like you said at the beginning there. Hey, which team's playing Tennessee, and I'll pick up that defense and stream that. So I mean, that's pretty intriguing right there. Like you're really that's tempting. Let's take a look real quick at the Lions defense. Right now, I want to lean Saints there, but I don't know. Let's see what the Lions got going on here.
Honestly, for me, the New Orleans Saints haven't really done a whole lot that I could see when I've been streaming defenses, in one of my leagues, like for the past while, because I had Minnesota Vikings and they kind of took a shit on me. So I've been bouncing around. So let's see where we go.
I mean, the Lions definitely have better defensive players. I mean, although they did
just problem lose is like what I don't like about Detroit. You have to understand is like they're back in.
Hold on. What I was trying to say real quick is, what do you call it? They just lost the key player on the defensive end, the defensive back, and Branch. Did they not? So I mean, that's one of the things that you do kind of get concerned about with that. I mean, obviously it's not like last year where it's Hutchinson, but
that's what I was going to say. Is like they don't just lose Branch; they lost Arnold, and they've lost Joseph. So that back end is what really scares me now. Like when they had a few of those guys still there with Hutchinson, they were doing pretty good for a little bit there because I streamed them for 1 week. But they fell apart on that back end right now, and all their big name, front line guys in the back end have been just taken out for the rest of the year, and almost probably somewhat until next year. So these guys have all been taken down pretty bad. So right there is matchups. Like, so who do they have this week or next week?
So they have Pittsburgh at home against Pittsburgh week 16, and then they go on the road and play Minnesota Vikings division game. So division games can be tricky. At Minnesota, you're not too worried about that, whether it be JJ or Brosner,
I mean, they had the two worst QBRs in history of freaking football they had this year. So I mean that week 17 is probably not a bad thing, because then you hope, like you said, Aiden Hutchinson and that defensive line just kind of eats. So I mean, I guess I would take a week on probably New Orleans, and what you said, like I guess they had the Jets, right? And
I would have the Jets.
I would definitely take a flyer on New Orleans for that week and hope that Justin Fields keeps on being Justin Fields, and that without pretty much their number one wide receiver, and just hope that Breece Hall doesn't fucking go bananas. I would definitely I'll probably lean towards the Saints in week 17 or week 16, and then probably flip to Detroit if I had to in week 17 if I was still alive in the playoffs, and do something like that. And if not, hopefully I'm high up in the waiver wires. I can get someone better.
Yeah. What would help is I get the Saints aren't the most the name isn't too intriguing at all. It doesn't pop out at all. But without really knowing kind of like what you get points for on defense, you kind of are leaning towards more the Detroit Lions and whatnot. But I mean, if looking at how many points they give up lately, they really haven't given up too much. Granted, that game against the Rams was 34, but other than that, 17, 24, 21, 20.
I mean, but
So
the
it's
main thing
not
you gotta look at the
terrible.
offense too. You gotta look at the offense too. Like Tyler Shaw looked like like an NFL quarterback this last week against Tampa Bay. So
Hmm.
I mean, that's a situation you have to take into account. Like, is the offense going to actually be an offense, or are they going to give up 2 or 3, interceptions or fumbles and or turnovers on their end, which is going to screw over your defense because then you put them in situations where they're going to be on the 3 or the 4 or the 20, and they're going to give up something easy, which is going to hurt your defense. So, like I said, like for me, I probably would go the New Orleans Saints only because Shaw looked decent. I'm not gonna say he's gonna do anything, but then you gotta understand who the defense he's playing against this next week too. So I mean,
The Saints are getting a decent amount of sacks too each game. If you look at these are the sack numbers right there, I mean, for the most part, they're at least getting 1 sack every game. They didn't get any sacks this last game, but um, they're getting some decent play. That might be a sneaky good play. If I had if I had to just choose one, I didn't have the ability to kind of do what you suggested. Play the Saints and then drop and then get the other team. Because let's say somebody picks up the Lions this week or whatnot, I wouldn't feel too bad rolling with the Saints both of these weeks because
I mean, I
at
guess you gotta
Tennessee isn't terrible, but
yeah, you gotta think about too. Like people are gonna be dropping out of the waiver wires because they won't be playing. So
true,
I
true,
mean, like you might be lucky enough to sneak up the waiver wire even if you are ranked 9 or 10 or 8 or whatever you're at, and still put that waiver wire in because I've landed some pretty sneaky picks off a waiver being number 8 or 9 because there's no one else decided to put it in. So
yeah,
you definitely got to take into account,
gotta
especially
shoot
the
your
playoffs
shot,
now that
shoot your shot.
that if you're in a 10 player or 12 team league, that those guys are no longer in the playoffs. So like the leagues that I'm in, you're no longer allowed to wheel and deal no more if you're not in it. So that means
Right, right,
those guys that would have jumped you that were maybe higher up on the waiver wire that might have for whatever reason held on to those waiver the 1 or 2 picks who didn't pull the
hmm
triggers. Now they're not in the way no more. So
right.
that's one of those things I play today and I live for tomorrow. Like I do week to week. Every week I go into it and I see we're in a dome or we're in weather. Who's hurt, who's not hurt, defensive line, offensive line. You got to go in. Like I said, I always say, do your homework when it comes down to like when you're going to make a pick for, who's going to be on
Hmm.
your bench, that you're going to take off your bench and actually put in your star lineup and who you're going to run your defense. Because for me, that's absolutely been a secret weapon in the last few years for me is running a defense out there that no
So
one else picked up and they go out there and they smoke and give, 30, 40 points.
yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I said, you definitely be active. I always like to check other people's teams after each week to see which injuries they have and then try and go after those guys and whatnot. So, one, you're playing defense, keep away, and most of the other times I could use an extra back and whatnot. So, Ron, yes, fuck Green Bay every day, all day. One more other question coming in from Drew. He said, awesome, thanks. Also, week 16, I know it's a week from now, but start sit 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 flex. Gibbs, Bucky, Judkins, Woody, Blake, Corum, Jackson Smith, Rice, Rashid Rice, I'm guessing, Devontae Adams, Mecca, Mike Evans. Well, Evans is out for the season, so we'll go ahead and scratch that one up. Or just even if he was to be coming back, I wouldn't be trusting him there. So let's look at week 16 here. So we got to start 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex. So I mean, Gibbs is a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Gibbs, it doesn't matter who you're playing there. Question is Bucky, Judkins, or Woody Marks.
I
Blake,
probably right now, like, I mean, depending on Shador is an interesting, prospect right now because if he starts opening up that offense the way he kind of did this last week against Tennessee, then it opens up everything for Judkins, because Judkins was an absolute beast. In the beginning of the year, he started to fall off a little bit because that defense started like kind of going after him. So if that offense in the air kind of opens up, he becomes a very interesting thing. Bucky Irving is probably someone I probably just put a little ahead of him, only because of the fact that the offense in Tampa Bay is getting a little more healthier, especially with Baker getting healthier off his left injury, AC joint separation. So for me, that kind of, I put Bucky just ahead of Judkins a little bit, but either one of them, that's a coin flip toss for me, because they both been really good in fantasy all year long when they both been healthy. Well, more for Irving when he's been healthy than Judkins. Judkins been there all year, but he just, unfortunately for Judkins, he's in the middle of a Cleveland offense that doesn't do a whole lot.
True. I mean, they don't, but I mean, the thing with Bucky is it does look like sometimes he's in a timeshare between him or Rashad White. Sometimes even Sean Tucker kind of comes in and steals some carries or whatnot. But
That's
let's
usually
just
about.
let's look at their matchup real quick here. Week 16, the Buccaneers playing against Carolina, division game at Carolina. Carolina is fighting for a playoff spot. They still may be fighting for a playoff spot, no matter how slim it may be. They're still not officially eliminated, so that could be a scrappy game.
That's for division right there. That's the division game. That's the division crown. They're both close in division right now.
Very true. That could very well be that. Let's take a look. Who else did he have? Woody Marks, he said, right?
Yeah, Woody Marks has definitely been a nice, get if you have him. But then again, that offense is like so. It's hard because that offense is so hit and miss, because CJ Stroud is just someone you can't trust right now. You know what I mean? And I don't put CJ Stroud as a top 20. Like, I don't put him. If I have a choice to put CJ Stroud or anybody else, I go anybody else right now. You know what I mean? They have too many offensive weapons to be too good for CJ Stroud to be this bad for the last 2 years. Like, and
so
that's
you trust Jacoby Brissett over CJ Stroud?
Yes. Right now, yes, because Jacoby Brissett has put up fantasy numbers the last 5 or 6 weeks since he's been inserted. Like, whether it's been McBride on the, obviously he's a tight end one, and then without them even having any kind of running game, they've been throwing almost like 50, 60 times every week. So I mean, all the wide receivers, if you can get Harrison healthy, he exploded. And then, like I said, McBride all of a sudden started finding touchdowns when, Kyler Murray gave him a lot of touches, but he could never find the end zone for McBride. So he unlocked something different on the tight end side. So absolutely, like Jacoby Brissett might throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and lose the game, but we play fantasy
who cares?
And we don't care that the Cardinals lose, especially me. I don't give a shit. I like when they lose. So I mean, that's
Bogey. Thanks for checking us out. Good to see you here. Hopefully, you'll be giving us the money by the end of the fantasy season here.
Oh yeah,
I have
put that money in my hand, Mr. Man.
I have Sanders' dad's rookie card. That makes me feel old. Well, Ron, I hate to say that, maybe because we are old. We're on that same boat, brother.
Speak for yourself.
I don't trust online betting. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel that. I feel that for sure. But let's finish this question out. Here. So, looking at Woody's matchup there, week 16 would be against Vegas at home. So that's not a terrible one as well. Let's put up Junkins' numbers real quick here. So Buffalo, home against Buffalo, that might be a tough one there.
I mean, I don't know about that, because Buffalo lets everybody run. So I mean, that's why it's my coin flip, like with Bucky. It's a coin flip for me. Like I have Junkins in my starting lineup. So I mean, Buffalo lets everybody run all over them. And I mean, it's just one of those things where weather permitted, and if they stay in the game, because that's the only thing that will hurt Junkins is if that it gets 20 to 0 in the first 2 quarters, and then he gets scripted out. So that's my only problem, because he doesn't give so much on the passing side, because Samson has definitely showed up to be that, that screen, that bump off guy. That's, he's shown some really good explosive plays his last few weeks that has made Shadur Sanders, look really well. So that's one thing that kind of worries me about that. Like, if it's not a game that's close, that Judkins will get scripted out.
And I just wish his snap count was higher. I mean, he's hovering around 60 to 50%, each game, and hasn't really gone up since week 2. So that's the only thing with him as well. Let me look at Woody's again real quick, kind of see what his snap count looks like. It was at 80% last time, but he's around the same thing, kind of around 60, 50%, occasional 80% and whatnot. And then what about Bucky real quick? Yeah, they're all around that same one. It looks like Bucky has a higher floor, like the higher boom. Like, he's looking at the points that he scored this season.
When he's in, like, Sean White doesn't get a lot of run, and when he's in, like, he's around the goal line just as much, if not more, than anybody else, and he gets a lot of dump off, and those cheap points that we talk about. Like, he gets a lot of those. Okay, so he's involved in pass games. So, like I said, like, it's a coin toss for me, because Buffalo lets everybody run on him, but Berkey Irvin has the more ceiling.
I think it's a safer play. Yeah. He has a higher floor. I would go with Bucky and Gibbs for those 2 running backs there. So let's do the receivers there. So JSN is a smash start. You're not even thinking about it. I mean, honestly, it probably looks like JSN, Devontae Adams, and Emeka Egbuka. I know. What's his name? Baker, not as hot as he was at the beginning of the season, and Egbuka's kind of feeling the effects of that. But I mean, I don't know. Do you trust Tampa's offense more than KC's right now, or how do you feel? I think it's split between Egbuka and Rice.
Like,
that last part.
I mean, for me, Egbuka is kind of, he's falling off. So you don't have a great route tree, and when it comes to his productivity, it was all like over the top, like down the field type of things. And so it's, how does Baker feel at this point in time? You know what I mean? Like, because he was kind of boom or bust, and it's been a quite a while. Like, I actually sat him this week for Jennings, because I just haven't been able to trust him to give me those 20 to 30 point games that he was doing in the beginning of the year, and now it's playoff time, and I can't wait around for him to not score 2 or 3 points anymore. So and that offense in Kansas City, Rashee Weiss is someone it's pretty much Kelsey or Rashee Weiss right now. You know what I mean? It's, the only problem is that the offensive line is so bad in KC that, even Mahomes can't make anybody on the outside look really good. So, like, I mean, for me, I would trust Rashee Rice a little bit more, just because Emeka Egbuka has been on a downslide. If it was like a week or 2, maybe 3, I wouldn't be so bad and against Emeka. But Emeka is just, it's been almost like 2.5 months since the beginning of the year where he's looked like anything that was done. I mean, he came out firing, you know what I mean? And believe me, I thought I hit gold. But he kind of falls in that Quentin Johnson mold right now. Quentin Johnson was the same one that was just, taking a top off of defenses and scoring 2-3 touchdowns a week. But with Herbert getting hurt and the offensive line getting hurt, like, he fell, back down to earth, and Lan McConkey kind of, the offense went a different way. They went more tight end, and more possession. And with that, I mean, Chris Godwin and Bucky Irving, and probably even Cade Otton, they're more of the play than anybody that's going to go over the top right now. So,
all right. I mean, I'm with you there. Fair enough. I kind of looking at Rice's numbers. I agree. Those first three would be the three receivers to start. Now in the flex position, though, who do we have left? Say we do Bucky and Gibbs, JSN, Rice, Devontae. In the flex, let's assume this is a PPR as well. You rather have Junkins, Woody, or a Mecca?
I'd rather have Judkins. Just because, like I said, who they're playing against. Buffalo, I mean, they're gonna give up points. They're gonna give up yards. And Quinn Jenkins has shown the ability to actually, pop one off for 50, 60 yards. So, I mean, you want those bonus points. If he gets a 50, 60-yard touchdown, I mean, that could make your day just him doing that by himself. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
right now, with the offense in Tampa Bay, you're hoping that Baker's healthy enough to, do whatever he's going to do. And, with Bucky Irving, all of a sudden, and then obviously with Godwin coming back, it becomes more of a mouth to feed. And Cleveland, Quinn, Judkins is he's the bell cow. So you want someone who's going to give you more opportunities.
Well, he's definitely one of those guys that definitely is going to get the goal line features if they're within the 10. He's at least going to get a carry or two. What are your thoughts on Shador Sanders and how he's been? He looks like he may be the full-time starter going forward for at least this season for the Browns. What have you thought of his play thus far?
I mean, like any rookie, he's been up and down, but this last game against, I want to say, comparable competition against Tennessee, I could see Cleveland and Tennessee being pretty even when it comes to where they're at and their franchises. He absolutely outplayed the number one quarterback drafted. He looked like someone that should have been a top 5 draft pick in this last year draft class, and it took him some time to get there, but he's obviously he's going to have those bumps on the road. He's not going to be someone that's going to have that CJ Stroud, that last few years where we've seen these QBs come in, drafted high and just all of a sudden just take over the league type of things. It's just Daniels took it to another level. We don't see that typically in the NFL, and it took us some time to get to a chance to get an opportunity, but the kid has shown that he has ability. I mean, he threw for 360 yards in the snow and threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for 1. I mean, albeit as it was against Tennessee, and the only reason they didn't win the game was pretty much because of his coaching. His coaches decided they didn't want to win the game. They want to keep taking him out.
One game they're too.
Exactly. You would think that in the snow that Myles Garrett and the rest over there, Devin Bush and everybody have on that side, that they want to give up all those plays in the snow. That was one of those crazy games you're not used to seeing stuff like that when it's when it's inclement weather and whether it's rain or wind or snow. You don't see 30 to 40 points. Like we had 2 of those games this last weekend. So normally when it's like that, if you're lucky, if you get to it's first to 20 wins. So
it's usually those are sloppy ass games there.
Yeah, I mean you're seeing 3 or 4 turnovers on each side. You can't kick a ball. If a kicker kicks a 40-yarder, it goes 15 yards to right or left because it never had a chance because of the wind. So I mean, I guess it was one of those things where it was snowy, but it wasn't really windy. So the offense still got to go out there and play, and grown-ass adults got to have fun in the snow. But I mean, for me, Shador has shown that he deserves to keep playing, and he didn't have the best game against the Niners, but he made a few plays here and there and missed some stuff, but he's definitely showing the ability to get the ball to Jerry Jeudy, which anybody who has a Jerry Jeudy on their team right now might have a sneaky pick there, especially with Fannin as well. Fannin has taken over from Daniel Njoku and become another another rookie, free agent that might be just sitting there somewhere. So, I mean, that's another sneaky pick that if he's sitting there because they take flyers and they drop them and they pick them up and they do things with, tight ends and wide receivers at this time. And Jerry Jeudy is someone that's definitely been at the bottom of everybody's freaking list. But, he's also someone that's shown he can have a 200-yard and 3 touchdown game. So, you don't need him to be good for every week. You just need to be good for the game that you pick him up.
Yeah, you just got to time it perfectly. I can't stand those guys. It's like Gabe Davis a few years back, where it's like 1 week 5 points, another week 20 points. It's like you have to just guess and gauge it, And it's literally sometimes it was 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off, and
absolutely.
I mean, if it's as simple as just as that, But as we know, as soon as you think you have something in this league figured out or in fantasy figured out,
you lose by fucking like 80 points.
Yeah, it gets dude. Like, it really does. So, but that's what we're here for. That's why we do this shit, so we can adjust accordingly. We can fucking talk about this shit as it's happening, kind of make moves. Try to look for the trends before they actually become, a full-on trend and stuff. So, kind of beat the rush. But we're coming pretty much to the end of our show here. Mouth, it was good to have you back into the clubhouse. I know you had some family stuff you had to go do up in Prescott, so good to have you back. Good to see that you got back here safely. Any final words for these teams going into the fantasy playoffs here? Any last words of advice?
Well, I mean, for the next few weeks, we don't got to worry about any kind of, London games or, someone going overseas doing anything crazy shit. So, understand that tonight's the night. Hopefully you got your waivers in, got your picks down, put your starting lineups down so you don't freaking be that asshole who's, number 1 pick and doesn't put your number 1 wide receiver and running back into because you're trying to be snubby sneaky. Yeah, but I mean, right now it's the time that we've done everything for this whole since what? Freaking July, end of July, August. Now's the time. Depending on whether you're playing a free league for fun or you put $20 down, $100 down, whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? Now's the time to go in there.
Something like that.
And bragging rights is always great, but money's a whole lot fucking better. So that's the situation right now. Is it's early Christmas for a lot of us because playoffs are here, and hopefully you're in a situation like me and the Commish where we're in a lot of playoff leagues right now because I've been in the situations where I've done first place in one league and I'm bottom of the barrel in the other one and couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So
no, it's those are the kind of frustrating for sure because typically your teams are somewhat similar, but I mean, hey, bad luck, bad matchups. Sometimes it's just about the matchups.
Bad matchups. I mean, I got people in my league that probably are the second or third scoring, teams in the league, and they're like 6-6 or 7-6. So, I mean, it's one of those you blow up one week and then your team takes your shit the next. I mean, that's fantasy. You never know. Like we're not out there doing it. We're not out there playing football for them. So we can only hope that fantasy is a fickle bitch. You know what I mean? Like it could be your team. It could be you could be your guys in there and you score a touchdown and you're pissed because it wasn't it wasn't Swift that scored a touchdown. It was a Dunze. It wasn't Kittles who scored a touchdown. It was the running back there. That ran in for you. And it wasn't a running back. It was a third string running back who you don't even fucking know. Believe me, it cost me a Super Bowl a few years ago that McCaffrey decided to hurt a groin, and the second string came in there and scored a touchdown and cost me a Super Bowl. So it's it is what it is, man.
Well, hopefully we get to meet in the Super Bowl, and then kind of battle it out from there, share that prize money, and then figure out who's going to be taking home the bragging rights and whatnot. In one of the leagues, like I said, maybe who's taking home that belt. So, but guys, I want to thank everybody watching us here. Like I said, like you said, this is what we do it here. We started at the beginning of the season, draft time, talking about these guys coming into the NFL, looking at these rookies and whatnot, and trying to guesstimate what teams they would go to, or kind of what teams would be the best fit for them. And then, obviously as it develops more, draft actually happens and whatnot. So we want to thank you guys for helping us get to 1,400 subscribers by the end of the year. That was one of our goals here at the Clubhouse. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Really do appreciate that for all you guys who like, share, subscribe. It means the world to us here. We can't grow without you guys helping us grow. The Clubhouse needs to get things.
Thank you. Absolutely. It means the world that anybody who shows up and sends the questions in and asks us for advice. And Commish always says it, let us know how you did. And we want to know that you went in there, you took our advice, and you whooped that ass that week. There's too many times we give advice and no one comes back and tells us how they did. We want to know. I don't know, like, did we give you some shitty advice? Because, sometimes we got to do our own homework. We got to figure out our own stuff, but, we're in here, we're grinding. We're doing 4 or 5 different leagues. We're out there doing our thing. So let us know if we go out there and we give you some good advice and we lead you to a championship. You know what I mean? Photoshop us in there. AI in that picture. I want to see us in that championship belt.
There is times where we have to do, the old thing from last Friday or the Friday after next, where you got to pull up the baby powder and slap your own goddamn self. Because
sometimes
that happens. But like I said, that's what we're here for. We like to bounce the ideas off of each other. If you're conflicted, you're not sure which way to go. Sometimes that's what you need is someone to bounce the idea off the wall, comes back to you. It either confirms or your idea of kind of which way you're going, or it gives you a new perspective that you weren't really thinking of, and helps you make your decision to go a different way. So, like I said, we love doing this here, every Wednesday for you guys, and we love it more that you guys support us. So we really do appreciate it. Even though fantasy season is going to be, kind of coming to an end here after the season, stick with us because we're still going to chop it up during the off season a bit, and we want to look through more of the average draft positions, the guys who were the studs of the season. Who were the
365 a year now. Football's 365 a year now. When that Super Bowl, trophy gets handed to someone, that just means the next season started at that fucking time. That's the way fantasy is, the football is. That's just the way it is now. It's $1 billion business, and we're here to do it the whole damn year.
Especially if you're in a dynasty league like we are. We just joined a dynasty league for the first time. That is definitely year-round. You are going to be trading players in the off-season according to your team and whatnot. So we're here for that.
That's just been wild.
It really has. But we'll be here. We may not be going on every week like we do during the season, but we'll at least try to do an episode at least once a month, maybe 2 times a month or whatever, just to kind of keep up with current events. Like I said, we still have to talk about who did good, who didn't do good throughout the season. We want to hear your guys' perspectives, your ideas, your take, as well as who helped win you a championship, who cost you from even getting into the damn playoffs because you drafted or invested so much into this particular player and they just laid a big old goose egg for you and just was completely unproductive. So we want to hear all about it. We want to hear about it. It's almost like a therapy session. We've got to talk it through. We got to talk through the bad times, talk through the good times, and to get to that championship. So, like I said, guys, thank you a million times over. Really do appreciate you guys. So from the Mouth, from the Bay, and from the Cricket Commission, and everyone else here at the Chicago Clubhouse, we really do appreciate all the love and support. Remember, guys, I want you to be safe out there, be good out there, but if you can't be good, damn it, at least be good at it.
You got to decide whether you're a wolf or a sheep.
Next fucking month, I'm a wolf.
Wolf, motherfucker, yeah.
This has been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.
If you're in the playoffs, you're a wolf too.
And now it's